Hello and welcome, datoneman here, coach of the Claremont Saws. I'm going to be playing for SKL's Season 6, which is a low-tier draft, which consists of Pokemon primarily from Tier 3 and under. So this should be a really interesting draft because it's all the quote-unquote bad Pokemon, even though there are some really good Pokemon in this. So that should be really fun. I'm going to be taking a break from playing as a coach in Season 5 of Cascade, but I'm going to be doing something different with that, so stay tuned for that. I'll be doing something different again. I'm not going to be going into a full draft analysis. I'm just going to be briefly going over my team that I drafted, which is just 12 mons, same as the other drafts that I've been part of. So I actually I got pick 1, which is actually really interesting. So yeah, that was really fun. I got to pick some interesting and fun mons to use, so my draft rundown is I got Nidoking round 1, then I got Heracross, Zoroark, Rotom, Steelix, Excelgor, Altaria, Mr. Mime, Munchlax, Abomasnow, and Gabite. So those are the 12 that I designated. The Z-Mons were any two of our choice, so I decided to go with Zoroark and Rotom. I think those are probably some of the better ones that I could have chose. I can't really see other ones as Z captains, so yep, that's about it for that. I'm just gonna go right into my week 1 match, which is versus Master of Rave, and his squad consists of Avalugg, Chimecho, Crustle, Drapion, Empoleon, Flygon, Alolan, Golem, Hariyama, Haunter, Pyroar, Swallow, and Whimsicott. So right off the bat, stuff that I am a little scared of facing right now. In terms of offensive things, Flygon, Whimsicott, Haunter are a little terrifying to switch into. I have some decent checks to Haunter, but I'll reveal that when the time comes. Flygon, if I don't have a Abomasnow's Ice Shard or like a fast enough Scarfer in the back, can be a problem if he's like DD. Mainly because the only thing that naturally outspeeds it on my team is Excelgor, which I'm probably not going to Scarf, and as well as my Zoroark, which has to run Foul Play in order to kill it. Like I can't use like a Dark Pulse or like a knockoff or whatever to kill it, especially because he's Z. He's Z Flygon, so I don't think using knockoff would be the best choice. It would be like Scar Foul Play. And then Whimsicott is just really difficult to switch in on my team if my Munchlax gets chipped, or I guess my Steelix as well if I bring like Spadef. But yeah, like a Life Orb Whimsicott I think is really scary to face. So that's something I'm really afraid of. In terms of like defensive things, Avalugg is kind of a nuisance to deal with. My team also kind of struggled to switch into it, so I'll have to, plan according to that thing, because it's just a monster physically, defensively. Hariyama can be a little difficult, defensively speaking as well, just because I don't have a whole lot of things that. Well, I don't have a whole lot of. Well, my team kind of invites in Hariyama, considering I have stuff like Zoroark, for instance, and like Excelgor gets checked by Hariyama easily. If that thing brings like Assault Vest, and in general, fighting moves are kind of hard to switch into with my team. My best resist would be like Mr. Mime, which I'm like almost certain that Bullet Punch kills after like close combat or something like that. So that can be a little threatening, especially since my 2 defensive mons are just happen to be weak to fighting. Alolan Golem, I'm not too worried about at all. It can trap Steelix, but like, I don't think it does anything to Steelix because Steelix is so fat defensively. Aside from that, Chimecho is actually a pretty decent pick versus me. Mainly because it checks Nidoking really well, and Nidoking is one of the better Pokemon that I've drafted on my team, so that should be interesting to see. I'm not too sure if he'll bring it or not, but I guess we'll see in the actual battle itself. But with that out of the way, that's his team. I'm expecting something like Flygon, Whimsicott for his offense, because I think that does really well versus me. Like maybe like Life Orb Whimsicott and like Z Dragon or Z Earth, or like Z Ground Flygon, maybe a Polygon for Rocks Defog, and then like a Hariyama in the back or something like that. But yeah, with that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and go over my team that I brought for my week 1 match. So first off, I have Excelgor here. Excelgor is going to be my main cleaner for this match. I'm going to basically play the end game with this thing. At least that's the aim. because this thing is legitimately like super fast, and it deals with most of his team in the late game, assuming I get prior damage and chip on stuff like Hariyama, assuming that I, all that kind of thing. And yeah, I think just in general it pairs really well with Nidoking, because this like destroys Chimecho, and he doesn't have a whole lot of Bug Buzz switches on his team, and whatever takes Bug Buzz doesn't appreciate Focus Blast with Chip. So this is one of my late game cleaners. HP Ice is nice, just because it hits Swellow as well as Flygon. That's like my main purpose for HP Ice, and then Sludge Bomb for his Whimsicott, even though Bug Buzz does a ton to it as it is. But yeah, that's my first one. Second up, I have Nidoking. I have Sugar Berry Nidoking with a ton of defense because this checks Flygon really well. And then Sheer Force Ice Beam like easily like takes it out, unless he's like Yachi. If he's Yachi though, that's not as big of a problem, because if I get rid of his Yachi, that means my Abomasnow can deal with it in the back. Spoilers, I have Abomasnow in the back. But yeah, so that should be interesting. Shuko, I have a ton of defense, so I can live, I believe, even a +1 Z Earthquake after rocks, so that should be good. Sucker Punch is mainly there for Haunter, as like a surprise factor, because I do take one, even like a Life Orb hit from that thing, so Sucker Punch is nice for that. Ice Beam, and then Flamethrower is just a clean 2 KO on Avalugg, and with how much defense and HP I'm packing, I easily take an Avalanche as well, so that's my Nidoking. Third, I have AV Heracross. AV Heracross is mainly to check Haunter with Pursuit. I do take 2 Life Orb hits, even like Life Orb Shadow Ball into Dazzling Gleam, so that's going to be really good from Heracross. Mega Horn, Close Combat Earthquake. Earthquake is mainly for Drapion because it is one of his Dark Resists, and I'm thinking he might bring something like that because it's one of his better Zoroark switch-ins. But he might just bring Hariyama as well, and Hariyama doesn't appreciate Close Combat, so this kind of all-around check stuff. It's also a Ground Resist, which is helpful for like Flygon, in case he pops like a Z Outrage on me. So, and I'm pretty sure, I'm like almost certain it will kill if I get some chip damage on Heracross from like rocks and whatnot. So that's about that. Onto my defensive core of this team, I have Steelix plus Munchlax. Steelix, this thing just gets a Brox. It just toxic stuff like his Avalugg, which is a little annoying to deal with from my team, because switching into Ice Moves is a little bit of a problem. So yeah, this is my main switch into that. It's my main switch into Chimecho as well, if he decides to bring that. I do have to be careful of Rap plus Perish Song, because it can easily just trap me, and I don't think I beat it 1v1 with Toxic, so I would definitely get a Brox versus it, but aside from that, it does technically beat me 1v1, so yeah. Steelix is also, because it has naturally good physical defense, it kinda sorta checks Flygon, but best I can do is like Heavy Slam, put it in range of Ice Shard for my Abomasnow. This also semi-checks Swellow as well. That's another big thing as well, because the only big variant of Swellow that might threaten this is Specs Heat Wave. And yeah, that's about it. I think Steelix is going to be really good in this matchup. It would be really bad if I let this thing go early, but yeah. Oh, also this is one of my better Whimsicott checks, because otherwise my team kind of struggles versus Whimsicott, as you can see. Heracross might probably tanks one because of Assault Vest. Excelgor outspeeds it, but he might have Prankster Stun Spore, and Stun Spore will be really bad because then I can't do anything with like this paralyzed Excelgor. So Steelix is pretty important in this game, just because it gets the rocks and all that kind of thing. Next up, Munchlax is my other one, or my other defensive mon in this game. Rest, Whirlwind, Body Slam, Earthquake. Body Slam, Earthquake pretty much hits the majority of his team, barring Haunter. And if he does bring out Haunter, he's probably going to go for something like a Wisp. Like, I'm assuming if he wants to beat Munchlax specifically, because Munchlax actually walls Pyroar. Pyroar literally can't do anything versus this thing, because it's because of Thick Fat, and I have a lot of Split F on this thing. So, Rest, Whirlwind, Body Slam, Earthquake. Rest because I need HP on this thing, and no matter what. Whirlwind because phasing might be really good, especially since he has a few setup options, plus getting a Rocks chip on his team would be really good. And then Body Slam, Earthquake just kind of deals with the rest of his team. And yeah, that's about that. And lastly, we have It's a Wrap, Abomasnow, like a mixed offensive one with Ice Shard, Giga Drain, Earthquake, Wood Hammer. Giga Drain hits, this thing is extremely hard for him to deal with, like in terms of switching in, just because Giga Drain 2-hit KOs most Avalok variants, and it can't do too much back to me unless it Toxics. And aside from that, Woodhammer is also extremely difficult for him to like switch into. Like, this thing's a very good break for his team. The best thing I think it would be like an AB Hariyama, because if he expects like Life Orb Blizzard, but I'm not carrying Blizzard this time around, I'm carrying Woodhammer, so the combination of like grass ground coverage is really hard for him to deal with. And even his fire types or like his ice resists aren't like too great at switching into it either, so that's about it for the team. The early game is mainly going to be using this to break, having these two kind of acting as like support, like offensive support in a sense, just to chip them down. These two help defensively, and then the last turns of the game should come down to Excelgor, but we will see about that. So yeah, that's the team for week 1. I'll be having the battle in the same video as well, so I will cut away to the video right about now. And we're back. So, week 1 match versus Master of Brave. And on preview, it actually relieved me a lot to see some of the Mons on his team. He brought no Whimsicott and no Flygon, which is really good, as well as no Haunter, which is really good for me to deal with. I think a lot of pressure gets relieved just from seeing that alone. But he did bring Hariyama. He also brought Empoleon, which is something I expected once again. So it looks like late game Excelgor is a possibility as long as I get rid of or chip down Hariyama to a decent amount. And as long as as long as I get rocks up and I get enough chip damage on his team from residual attacks like Nidoking, Heracross, as well as just breaking stuff with Abomasnow, I should be good for a late game Abomasnow or a late game Excelgor cleanup. So, so in terms of leads, I thought that my Nidoking matched up pretty favorably. It gets off heavy hits versus pretty much anything on his team bar Chimecho. And if Chimecho does come out, I'd probably go Steelix and then immediately hard switch just because I don't want to eat a wrap into Perish Song. So yeah, so that's going to be how it goes. Biggest threats from his team, like Guts, or I think Swallow in general. Guts or Specs would be a bit of a nuisance to deal with, but we'll see how that goes. We're going to go right ahead. So I'm going to lead Nidoking versus his Swallow. So turn 1, you actually saw the text right there as it is. I actually decided to stay in turn 1 because I thought that even if he was Specs, I didn't think he would go for Boom Burst. I live Boom Burst because I have a ton of HP on this thing. Plus, I had Steelix and Munchlax in the back, so I figured he didn't want to reveal his set too much and that he'd go right for the U-turn. He goes for U-turn and does 5%. And that's important because that immediately tells me that he's minus attack, just based on the calcs. So I know right away that he's most likely a special variant, just with U-turn as just for momentum. So I just decided to stay in and I go right for the Ice Beam. Nothing too prediction heavy. I hit the Chimecho, which turns out to be full speed death. So I'm gonna hard switch right into to my Steelix right here to eat the Psychic, and just seeing the leftovers. He's faster. He's gonna go right for Wish as I go for Stealth Rock. I think seeing Psychic kind of clued me in like he might not be Wrap, because if he was Wrap, he'd be like Wrap, Perish Song, maybe Protect, Recover. I didn't think he would have room for a Psychic in that case, so I just had to get on my rocks. Just in case something weird's gonna happen, I'm gonna go right into Abomasnow because I can break this thing easily as he just goes right for the Defog. And that's fine by me. I get to click Woodhammer for free here as he decides to go for the T-Wave, and I do 66% to this thing. Like, jeez. I did a ton of damage versus this thing, man. Life Orb Abomasnow, like, this thing is amazing. So yeah, Woodhammer into Ice Shard kind of picks up the rest of his team. So I'm going to go right for the Woodhammer again. He goes for Wish, and this turn he's going to send in the Crustle. And this was a little bit of a problem initially when I saw the Shell Smash, because and it didn't matter right there if I Woodhammered, because he would have wished they would have gotten back all the HP. So, but I know that after this turn, I'll be right at Sturdy range with my Steelix. So it's a matter of figuring out what exactly his set is. And he goes for Earthquake right here, and he gets a crit. Now, let me pause real quick. I'm going to be pausing a lot just so I can explain my moves and my mentality throughout these sets. Basically, based on the Heavy Slam damage, I see that he has a lot of HP or defense investment. I just don't know how much. I just don't know if these adamant are jolly. Simply because of the crits. The crit pretty much um, leaves it ambiguous as to what his crustal set is. I could have brought out Excelgor here, possibly. Um, but I wasn't too sure if Bug Buzz would kill or not because he didn't have the minus defense or minus speed F drop from Shell Smash, and he might have a crap ton of HP just based on the Heavy Slam damage. Heavy Slam, I believe, normally does around like 30 or 40, somewhere in that range, so I just decided to forego Rocks or even Toxing it because Toxic can potentially miss. So I just decided to Heavy Slam. Earthquake technically does more, but I just decided to get the damage off on it. So yeah, I'm going to be stacking Steelix very early, which means my primary Swallow switching is unfortunately gone, but we'll see how the game goes. I still have Ice Shard in the back. Abomasnow is at a decent amount of HP, so moving on here, we have Munchlax. I'm just going to Whirlwind right out of here. Stone Edge doesn't kill me because I'm max defense. So he just decides to go for Rock Blast instead of Stone Edge, which I thought was interesting. If he Stone Edge there, it actually might have been a problem, but he goes Pyroar. Switches right back into Hariyama as I'm just going to go for the Body Slam. Kind of fishing for a para, but in any case, I'm going to switch right into Heracross. It's my best switch in. I didn't want to get knocked off. I didn't think he'd go for close combat, but nothing on my team really appreciates knocked off anyway. I didn't want my Violet getting knocked off, my Life Orb, or even my Shuka, because my Shuka can actually come in clutch later on with the Crustle. So he just had to knock off. I figure my Sophist isn't too important at this point because he doesn't have Haunter as well as Whimsicott, or yeah, so I just figured this is the best way to switch into it. I'm gonna go right for the close combat on the Hariyama, just fishing for damage. This is 58%, nice chunk. As the close combat's right back for 60% because of my minus defense. And I'm expecting Bullet Punch right here. If he knocked off right here, that would have been an excellent play. But he just decides to Bullet Punch. I just decided to go Nidoking and just finish him off with an Ice Beam. Even if he was Assault Fistic, this minus Spit helped a lot. So he goes right into Swallow. I know Boom Burst or something like that is coming, so I just go right into Heracross just to get that. And right here, this is actually a very important turn. So I'm gonna go right for Focus Blast here because it hits Empoleon in case he wants to switch that into like straight HP Ice or something like that. So I'm gonna risk it right here. If I miss, I potentially could have lost to this thing. Although I had Sucker Punch plus Ice Shard, so I don't know if that's particularly true or not. But I'm gonna go for the Focus Blast, and it actually turns out it kills. Now this matters a little bit because as it turns out, he had 160 HP on Swallow, so it was about a 37% chance roll to kill this thing. So I got a little fortunate here. Again, I do have Abomasnow in the back to check this thing. And again, he doesn't switch into that thing particularly well without allowing another Mon. So I managed to take that thing out. And it looks like this thing has a pretty good shot of cleaning up. So he brings in Pyroar on the down, which heavily leads me to believe that he is Choice Scarf. So I decided right to go into Munchlax. And he goes for Flamethrower, and that pretty much confirms my suspicions. I'm going to go right for the Earthquake here because it hits everything on his team. If his Crustle wanted to come in, I would most likely go hard Nidoking. And with the damage, I would have been able to pick it off with an Earth Power. So he goes right into Empoleon as I go right for the Earthquake. I'm going to go right into Abomasnow before he gets a chance to set up rocks. It's actually just straight up Scalds. This, I think, was a slightly higher damage roll, or he has some special attack investment. But either way, I could have maybe preserved this thing, but I didn't really see it doing too much, besides keeping differential. So I just decided to stack it here to the Ice Beam. And I'm going to bring Munchlax back in, and I'm going to proceed to go for the Earthquake, just weakening this thing just so that it's in range of Focus Blast. So he goes for that again. I'm going to rest on this turn as he Scalds, just so I can get all the HP back. And now this thing is looking really good versus the rest of his team. The moment that Hariyama went down, as well as Chimecho, this thing just became an instant big threat to his team. So I'm going to burn a turn of sleep right here as he brings in the Crustle. And just as I imagined, I'm going to go right into Nidoking. I still have my Sugar Berry intact. He is at minus Spit F, so I can easily go for the Earth Power and just knock him out as I eat my Sugar Berry. And down goes the Crustle. And now at this point, my Munchlax beats his entire team. I'm going to go hard into it. It straight up counters this Pyroar. If it was Rivalry and not a Nerve, it might have made some kind of difference. But in any case, I'm going to go right into Munchlax. I wake up this turn because I burned that sleep turn earlier, so I can just Earthquake. And now Munchlax essentially 1v1s the rest of his team unless he has like knockoff Napoleon, but I think he would have gone for that earlier anyways. So that's going to be it. Munchlax is going to wrap this game up with a 3-0 in my favor. As you can see, that Fire Blast does nothing. I think it did as much as Flamethrower did earlier, which is insane. This thing was just a monster in this game. Being able to play out this end game like this, and yeah, that's pretty much the end of the game. So good games to Rave. I'm going to wake up here and I'm going to go for 2 Earthquakes, and that's going to wrap up this game. Claremont Saws get a win, week 1, 3-0. So this is a really good start to SKL Season 6. Thank you all for watching this. I'm going to be posting more content. I'm going to be posting all my matches for Season 6 of SKL. I'm going to be doing some other videos for Cascade Draft League as well, so stay tuned for that. Thank you all for watching once again, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.